You know, we speak nearly 16,000 words a day, yet how often do we actually think about the power they hold? I mean, think about it. The words we speak, especially with ourselves or about ourselves, aren't simply sounds. They're actually seeds. And if we plant self doubt, we grow uncertainty. If we plant confidence, we flourish. The words we use when we speak with ourselves actually shape our relationships, our opportunities, even our reality. I remember coming home from school one spring day. It was beautiful outside, and I expected to see my mom in the kitchen when I got home. As I walked in the door, there she was sitting on the couch. She had this big, massive book sitting in her lap with bold words titled "You and the Law." Her hair was a mess. Her face was tear-streaked. And she was wearing this brown sweatshirt with that big, bright, yellow, cheerful smiley face on it. You know the one that we've seen all throughout the 70s. It was a painful contrast to the heartbreak she was carrying. Later that evening, my dad told us he was leaving. My 12-year-old heart was shattered. I couldn't believe this. I wailed, I pleaded, I begged for this not to be true. But my words fell flat, weightless, unheard. As he drove out of the driveway that evening, I began to believe that my voice didn't matter, that I didn't deserve to have a whole, intact family, that I was unworthy. And over time, I didn't merely think I was unworthy. I actually spoke it into being. But what if I had spoken differently? What if instead of questioning my worth, I said, I am worthy? What if instead of saying, why me, I had said, I deserve love. I am enough. You know, we weaken ourselves with our words all the time without even noticing it. How many of you have said something like, sorry, just checking in? I kind of think this might be a dumb question, but what if we pruned out those words? What if we pruned out sorry, just, does this make sense? What if we owned our ideas instead of softening them? That shift is powerful. I learned this firsthand. Years later, I took this personal development course, and every time we got up to speak, people would write down anything negative that we said about ourselves on sticky notes. At the end of the evening, I had this stack of sticky notes, and I thought to myself, wow, this is what I've been feeding my mind. That's when I realized words are not simply sounds, they're choices, and choices can be changed. So I started pruning, literally taking out anything that weakened me. I said, I'm committed, I will, instead of I hope. I replaced, does that make sense? With, this is what I propose. I have this friend, Christine. She would not let me talk down about myself. Anytime I said anything like, I'm not skinny enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or this doesn't make sense, she would stop me and have me repeat something powerful after her. It was ridiculous, actually, but I repeated it until I could say so without hesitation. And I got it that words aren't simply descriptions, they're actually declarations. And when I started speaking differently, my world began to match my words. Think about this. How often do we ask permission with our words when we really don't need to? Women especially do this all the time. As a leadership consultant and women's empowerment coach, I see it in the workplace, in conversations, even in simple everyday interactions. We say things like, would it be okay if I take the lead? Sorry, quick question. I just wanted to say, I saw this up close and personal at the inn. My housemate, the previous innkeeper, would ask me permission to do laundry. Finally, one day I said, I request that you say, I plan to do laundry at 7 p.m. Does this work for you? She heard me, and when she made this small, subtle change, something magical happened. Not only did she start carrying herself with more confidence, but she also occurred to me as a much more powerful person. I no longer heard her as someone that was meek, unsure, or insecure. That one small shift in language shifted how she saw herself, but how I experienced her as well. That's the power of words. They're not only about communication, they shape how we see ourselves and how others see us. So let me ask you, what's one word or phrase that you can prune from your vocabulary? Choose your words wisely, because your words shape the life you create. Your words are writing your story. Make sure it's the story you actually want to live. Thank you.